drainage absolutely has to come first because it's not like you're going to be cleaning your house with all the windows and doors and cupboards shut, right? Like, same with your body. Drainage is really going to be ensuring that those toxins are exiting safely.
Detoxing without the drainage, like you said, is opening the floodgates. It's when the pipes are clogged. Toxins still get stirred up. The difference is they just can't leave the body effectively. They're going to recirculate, potentially making symptoms worse. And that's why drainage is the foundations to safe detox. Detox versus drainage. Everybody, you need to know this. This becomes part of your healing journey Bible that you've collected with all the holistic tips that we've given you through the different seasons. So, why is it so important? Because we often see this done incorrectly. And I mean, detox is a fancy word. And, we need to detox our parasites and detox our liver and detox our right toe at this point. I'm pretty sure there is a detox for your right toe. Why is it so important? We're going to get into that. What happens when we force a detox? We're going to get into that. And most times when people come in to the Clear Skin Solution and they've worked with somebody has put them on a detox or they put them on a self detox. And I'll tell you, it's not so favorable. So let's get into this, Katie.
Let's start with what's the difference between detox and drainage? Because I think that people that, don't do this every day, they don't really know the difference. And I'm actually seeing the word drainage a lot more on social media. So I want people to be very clear what the difference is.
Okay. Drainage, it's more of the mechanical and energetic opening of elimination pathways. So we need anything in your body that can support. So bowels, liver, kidneys, skin, lymphatics, lungs. We need it to take the waste. We need those elimination pathways open so that the waste can physically move out of the body. So that's drainage. It's the mechanical, energetic, see you later, alligator. We want to mobilize stored toxins from cells and tissues, typically through, it's going to be targeted nutrients, binders. Really what we do is it's like that kid having a tantrum at the store where we grab their hand and we physically escort them out of the store into the car. And we need the drainage routes for this. So if anybody's in my way from the time I grab that kid's hand to the time I get to my car, it's going to slow down my availability to get to my car. Fair?
I think to kind of summarize it, drainage is opening up the exits and detoxification is cleaning up and pushing it out the exit.
Yeah. Pipes versus opening the faucet full bore is more like a detox. We're forcing it. And the drainage is where that detox is going. So down the pipes.
And what's really important to know here is that drainage absolutely has to come first because it's not like you're going to be cleaning your house with all the windows and doors and cupboards shut, right? Like, same with your body. Drainage is really going to be ensuring that those toxins are exiting safely. You're avoiding like copious amounts of the detox backlash. So that Herx reaction where you're feeling like garbage and your skin doesn't become that like almost dumping ground for your internal health. So we need to be making sure the drainage pathways are open before we start detoxifying.
Yeah, that's really honestly the foundations to safe detox if we're going to look at it. And that's why drainage has to come first because detoxing without the drainage, like you said, is opening the floodgates. It's when the pipes are clogged. Toxins still get stirred up. The difference is they just can't leave the body effectively. They're going to recirculate, potentially making symptoms worse. And when people get to us, they're at symptom base. So they've already been in a state of inflammation for a long time and or state of stress, eustress, distress, whatever type of stress in order for it to compound. So we need to not isolate the symptoms, but work with them as messengers.
Because when we're opening up those organs, that elimination organs that Chris talked about, right? Your liver, your kidneys, your lymphatic system, your bowels, this is really what allows the toxins to easily leave. Also keeps bile flowing, binding the toxins. It's moving your lymphatic system. So the trash isn't stuck in your tissues. We want to make sure that lymph fluid is flowing really freely. And it's going to be, again, reducing the pressure on your skin as that backup detox organ because your skin is your body's largest organ of detoxification.
Yeah, when these organs, they can't handle the extra load that detox brings. So if we have acne, we already know probably lymphatics, liver, kidneys, maybe even bowels, they might not be optimal, right? So if the body's already saying, hey, whoa, I'm struggling here, that's why drainage is going to strengthen these systems so that they're ready when mobilization begins, when that detox begins. It really makes me nervous around the word detox sometimes. I think we just overdo it. Is there a time and place for them? Yes. And your body can naturally do that too, right? I guess what we want to do is we want to encourage gentle toxic release or toxin release. Why we want to go to drainage first is because we need to open the drainages. We need to allow the body to, this is the biggest thing. Your body knows what it needs to do. Do you like to be told what to do, Katie? We all don't. We all don't like change unless we initiate it too, right? Like these are just cofactors in our lives. So the body can naturally begin letting go of that surface level and circulating toxins. That's what has to happen without the need to start pushing those stored compounds right away. Heavy metals, are we going to push them out? Nope. So then let's chitty chat about how drainage naturally supports a detox a little bit more by organ.
And then I think we should move into how to support our drainage pathways before we detox.
Okay, I'll take bowels. So when regular and complete, that means you don't feel unsatisfied after, like you are giving yourself a high five after you have unicorn and sprinkle dust all over the bathroom, like you are satisfied. And it might even be some fairy action, just, getting up a tea for you. So they're going to prevent reabsorption of toxins from the colon. And this is a common issue with slow motility. So we're supposed to food in, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner in, poop out. That is ideal. Most people have one bowel movement, it might not be ideal. You can go into the Bristol stool chart. I mean, we have all these publications all over the place. And, 3 4. Definitely look for a 3 4. If you're not hitting that, then hello, bowels might not be ideal. If they're green, might not be ideal. If they're yellow, might be ideal. Like gray, they need to be brown. They can be different variations of brown, but we don't want any other rainbow color.
I would hope not.
Here's the thing. It's just systematically, if we stick to the organs of drainage, the thing is with the bowels, we have a ton of resources, fair. Like hydration is going to be it, like, eating fiber, all of these things. I really want to get into more of the educational piece so people can see the importance. So when bile flow, that's a big, big, big in my life. Bile flow is supported. So bile is manufactured in the liver through the process of cholesterol. So cholesterol is made in the liver. And cholesterol makes bile, vitamin D, sex hormones, all of these fancy things, a little bit of those adrenal things, like what we would like to keep us balanced. So bile flow, when it's supported, we could do it through things like bitters or phosphatidylcholine or bile salts. Toxins are better conjugated and excreted. So hear what I just said. To support the liver, we need to ensure we have adequate, stellar, amazing bile flow. Please note that.
Because bile flow is really great for helping to bind and escort toxins out of the body.
So if you are having yellow poops or yellow green gunk in your eye, we might want to look at that bile flow. These could be indicators, or we have a mucus forming, when you have a poop and it just seems like there's this coat of mucus. This could be saying the bile flow is not there. Sure, the liver's impacted, but if you go after the liver, please watch out because the liver's doing Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's doing like all the goods, right? It's not going, okay, oh, Chris is here. Let me just, see what she needs. Lymphatic system, Katie, you love it.
It doesn't get enough love, and it is such a hard-working system in the body. He really needs to be the spotlight. Now, your lymphatic system lies just below the surface of your skin. If you go and Google a picture of the lymphatic system, it actually runs pretty close to your circulatory system, your blood vessels and veins. You'll see it's often green, represented as green, and it really helps to move toxins from tissues and gets them to be eliminated. But here's the thing. Your circulatory system has your heart to pump blood through the circulatory system. Your lymphatic system does not have its own internal pump. So it relies on manual stimulation, whether that's from massage or dry brushing or through like physically moving your limbs. So movement of your limbs, whether you're going to be doing some rebounding, you're going to be walking, you're going to be swimming, like any type of movement is going to be helping to really improve lymphatic flow. And you'll be pretty familiar with lymphatic system because when you're sick, sometimes in your neck, you'll get your swollen lymph nodes. Well, guess what? You actually have lymph nodes all over your body and your lymphatic system all over your body. So you can think of your lymphatic system as your body's garbage truck. He is the garbage truck. He is doing a lot of work circulating around your body, collecting all of, the intruders, toxins, things that we don't want in the body. It helps to excrete it out through specific areas of your body. So like we said, we could be doing this through rebounding, through dry brushing before the shower. Castor oil packs are great. Chris's favorite, do a little infrared sauna, maybe. Gentle movement for those that like to do a hot cold plunge therapy. That's not Chris's vibe, but that's okay. She doesn't have to like it.
You know what I do call? This is what I like. I always call the lymphatic system, it's the movement that enhances that immune surveillance. that toxic filtering, right? Like that's why it's so important. And then the kidneys, can't forget the kidneys,
Can't forget the kidneys. They also get forgotten a lot.
right? So poor hydration and minerals, they're going to assist in the fluid-based detox. So like urine, this is going to be crucial, crucial, crucial for clearing water-soluble toxins. And why we need the bile is to clear the fat-soluble toxins. So when you come in and you're like, yeah, I know I need to do better in water, you've already been listening to us. Like you've got that down. Okay, let's do it so that we can start getting the kidneys to flush and do. Because again, when the liver is very congested, it's going to rely on the kidneys. And now we have two operating systems, putting on the red light, asking for help. Very important.
Okay, so remember, we talked about our liver, our kidneys, our lymphatic system, our colon, which is related to our bowels. Last two detoxification systems that we want to make sure the pathways are open are going to be our skin and our lungs. So we often forget that our lungs are helping to excrete toxins through our breath. So we want to be making sure that we're having, if we have air filters around the home, we are watching out for the things we're spraying in our homes. Like we're doing a lot of heavy chemicals and aerosols and hairsprays, getting rid of the toxic heavy candles on those plug-in wall fresheners. Like if we could ban a plug-in wall freshener, like that would be my favorite thing of life.
I have a neighbor, and every time I walk by their house, I can smell the plug-in. I can smell it from outside. I always say to Steve, "Do you smell that?" His sniffers don't work, I'm convinced. I don't think they were actually connected at time of birth.
Mine are over.
Same with me. So mine are like, as soon as I hit the corner, so they're on one corner, as soon as I hit the other corner, like, because I'm gonna walk Bruno or something, oh, I smell it. I don't know if it's in their garage or in their house, but I'm just thinking, eek Lord.
I know, I can't do the plug-in wall fresheners, they give me immediate headaches. The final one, remember, it's our skin. Now, our skin, like we talked about, is the body's largest organ for detoxification, if I could speak today. And this really kicks in when our primary drainage pathways are congested: our liver, our bowels, our kidneys, and our lymphatic system. So, our skin is going to be helping to eliminate toxins through sweat glands. So, we can have sweat excreting toxins like heavy metals, EPA. We have our sebaceous glands. So, these are oil secretions that can carry out the fat soluble toxins. Fat soluble means like dissolving in fat. So, we need that. And then also, what about the good old acne, eczema, rashes? These are all signs that our body is trying to push toxins out when other drainage pathways and detoxification systems are clogged.
Yeah, even deep breathing, that can offload part of that toxic burden, right? So what it does is we're looking to lighten the load on the internal organs. So when we say, yeah, go sweat it out, like a sauna or walking or whatever, or deep breathe, that's part of the skin and lungs. And the skin and lungs both like sweat and they both like deep breathing. So get it in there, right? Okay, Katie, what are the signs to look for if somebody's detoxing too fast? So, what are the symptoms that we see, working with clients, like eczema, like rashes, skin eruptions, flares? What else?
I think we wanna do this 2 ways. Like, I wanna talk about signs that we're detoxing too fast, but I also wanna weave in a Herx reaction because I think it's important that people understand there is oftentimes some sort of a healing crisis, but we can talk about how maybe to differentiate the 2. But signs that we're detoxing way too quickly: intense acne flare-ups, body-wide rashes, severe bloating, severe nausea, like extreme fatigue, you're wired tired, maybe you're getting anxiety, maybe you're having really bad insomnia, maybe you're getting brain fog. These can be signs that you're detoxing too quickly without having your proper drainage set up. But this is also not to be confused with something called a Herx reaction. A Herx reaction is also known as a healing crisis. This is a completely normal but temporary worsening of previous, current, or new symptoms. So some people, while they're going through, shifting of their bowels and detoxification and everything, they will see symptoms arise. So Chris, how about you break down how you walk the clients through? How do we know if there's a Herc reaction or our drainage pathways aren't open?
We're going to have signs ahead of time. So we're going to know, are you having stellar bowel movements? Where's your hydration? Are you sedentary? Are you moving? Are you doing anything to manually stimulate that lymphatic system? Are you practicing deep breathing? Do you have a lot of stress? We're going to see that the drainage pathways are not ideal. So therefore, we're not going to jump in and do therapeutic protocols. We're going to calm down that inflammation, reduce the stressors so that the signs and the symptoms of the clogged drains can chill out. The Herx reaction, on the other hand, is we've already assessed that yes, you can go into a therapeutic protocol. And I will tell you, we have sweet spots and protocols to say, between this day and this day, if this happens, and here's all the signs and symptoms, whether it's vivid dreams, anxiety, mood instability, like flu like symptoms, whatever it is, without infection. So that's one. Then we're going to be going through the Herx reaction because what it is the body's readjusting and positioning. And yes, we could be pushing a little bit. And whatever we're pushing, say it's pathogens, they don't like to be pushed. So they're going to push back. So that's more of a Herx reaction. The body is stimulated, it's responding, and the symptoms dissipate versus the drainage being clogged and we just don't have a hope in order. And then we're going to forcify it. Then you're going to get those symptoms of detoxing too fast.
Love it. So remember that when we are opening up the drainage pathways, we want to be opening up our bowels. We want to be making sure we're pooping every single day. Go and check the blog that we have on that one long, smooth, snake-like movement on number 3 or 4 on the Bristol stool chart. No straining, no undigested food, mucus or blood in the stool. And it's not taking you like 20 minutes to pass a bowel movement. It should pass relatively quickly. That's how you know that your bowels are going to be open and working really well. If they're not, then we need to be looking at, are we dehydrated? Do we maybe need a little magnesium citrate in there to kind of speed things along? Are we eating enough fiber in the day? So, like, just drinking enough water and eating enough fiber in the day, about 30 to 45 grams, that should help to start really move things along. Maybe you're dealing with a deeper, like maybe we're dealing with low stomach acid. Maybe we're dealing with low digestive function where we're not able to break the food down as well. So adding in a digestive enzyme could be helpful. Magnesium citrate, a lot of people know, can be really great for bowel movements. So making sure that our bowels are open, that's one of the number one things. Like, never do a detoxification if you're not having healthy daily poops every single day. And then again, making sure our bile is flowing because it's going to be binding toxins, excreting things on out. So having your bitter foods is going to be really helpful. Making sure your liver pathways, because you have phase 1 and phase 2 of your liver. This is again going to be filtering your blood, breaking down toxins, filtering your hormones. So making sure your liver has been loved up so that way we can start excreting these really well.
So this is what we do inside the Clear Skin Solution, right? We build the terrain, I call it. So, bowels, bile flow, liver drainage, hydration, mineral sufficiencies, and we support the nervous system. And you can even see that your pillars are all in there when we just talk about drainage and detox.
Now, if you start detoxifying, you're like, oh my gosh, I saw this juice cleanse on TikTok. I saw this 30-day detox kit on Instagram. I'm just going to go and do it. We don't want to skip that without that drainage because, as we've been talking about, if we're detoxifying without drainage, every system in your body is going to get impacted. Like your nervous system, anxiety, insomnia, panic attacks, brain fog, those are no fun. Your digestive system, like we talked about, the nausea, the bloat, the constipation, toxins recirculating through your gut. We talked about the skin and getting more flares, your endocrine system. So, like hormone imbalances, fatigue, we're suppressing thyroid function. Chris, what about our immune system?
Everything.
Autoimmune flares?
Yeah, because this is forced detox, right? It's just like, all of a sudden your in laws are at your doorstep. That's a forced detox.
I love my in laws.
Yes, but it's still forced detox. You don't have dinner ready. You weren't ready for visitors. But this is what I'm saying is when we look at the toxic and the recirculation and redistribution, right? You're talking about the phase 1 and the phase 2, right? That's what we have to look at is a lot of people don't look at that reabsorption. And the reabsorption is going to go through the gut wall, especially if we have slow bowels. It's going to allow toxins like bile-bound waste and the endotoxins. And what they're going to do is re-enter circulation. That's going to say, oh my gosh, back to phase 1. Phase 1's like, no. It goes to phase 2. Phase 1 to phase 2 is like, no. It goes to phase 3. And phase 3, by the time it gets to phase 3, listen, this is the last kick of the cat. If you can't do it, it's not happening. It's going back to 1. And this is why we don't tend to go right after the detox and push the liver because look what your liver's doing. It's going through 3 phases to try and get junk out. And that's why we have to watch how your toxins are being recirculated, how they're being bound, how they're being distributed, because mobilized toxins, they're going to redistribute into weaker tissues. So where's our weaker tissues? Brain, joints, fat, endocrine glands, like you were saying, and that's going to lead to new or worsened symptoms. You don't want to force that because if you force it, that's what's going to happen.
Our nervous system, if like drainage is going to kind of be on the struggle bus if we're stuck in fight or flight, right? Because when our body is stuck in fight or flight, we are supposed to be running from the bear to save our life. and all the other bodies, all the energy is being diverted away, and it's sent to our limbs to run, 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 run away. So the other systems in our body are going to be suffering. So this is why when we have to be supporting our nervous system, we are practicing stress reduction. That could be deep breathing, could be yoga, meditation, tapping, petting a dog if you're me and Chris, something that brings you joy to bring you down, setting boundaries, really working to love up your nervous system so your body feels safe to open up these pathways.
Exactly, and that's part of drainage as well. So what happens, we talked about the signs and the symptoms, right? You're forcing this detox without drainage, and fatigue and burnout are massive. And there's your mindset. I just don't have it, right? Those headaches, those migraines, like these are the things that we want to start to watch. And again, there's a difference between again the hercs and the drainage and the detox. So, but we're talking like more severity. It's the body is going to react defensively even when we do a little bit of a detox, or sometimes even when we do drainage. When people increase their water, can we have heightened symptoms? Yes, absolutely. So that's why, as coaches, we're sitting back going, are we at the level of migraine and perpetual headaches? Is this common? Are they in a protocol that would be pushing any supplementation that is, again, forcing or binding, chelating out? So taking the hand of the toddler out of the store. Those are all the things we have to do because heightened symptoms. So okay, Katie, you're doing stuff and you're going through things, and all of a sudden you're tired. You don't want to get up. Your sleep sucks. You're having vivid dreams. You have heart palpitations. All of these things are starting to come over 2, 3, 4 days. What's a natural response to your protocol?
Oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. What I'm doing is making it worse. I need to stop.
And what do they do?
They panic and they stop.
Yes, because you think you're in trouble and you could be the body. Again, I want you to go back and start to say, hey, did I have these symptoms before? What does it look like? Are they increasing? Is it after certain supplementation? Did I also go and switch my entire diet and increase my water and I'm dry brushing now? Did I increase all my news? Because that alone can be too stimulating to a very sensitized body.
And I think this is why working with a practitioner is so important because, when you don't have copious amounts in training in this, like Chris and myself and our team, it can be really hard to coach yourself through this. It can be really difficult to know, okay, is what I'm doing right? Like, are my drainage pathways open? Is this working? Or is what I'm doing right now, these, small little symptom flares I'm having, part of the process, part of that Hertz reaction? So when you don't have that support person in place, it is a very difficult thing to know, but also to keep going because a lot of people, when they're doing this on their own, when they're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do this thing. And then maybe they have a flare of their skin, they panic and then they stop what they're doing and they go back to square one. And they ping pong between point A and point B and they never work through the flares properly because, again, they don't know if the flare that they're having is a normal reaction or cause for concern.
Yeah, and that's going to create mood instability, right? And again, if we have slow motility, we're not having bowels, of course, you probably could be estrogen dominant. And that goes for men too. So there's a lot going on in that hormone. Like everybody's heard us probably say 100 times, I need your help with my hormonal acne. However, mental, emotional, and hormone chaos is also low libido, testosterone suppression, cortisol dysregulation, energy crashes, sleep issues. See how this all goes? If you already have these, we're already getting signs that our drainage isn't working. Let's get the drainage going. We don't need to force a detox into something that's already compromised. What about long term damage? So, your natural detox systems, everything we just talked about, they become downregulated from overload. It's like being a mom, I swear. So we want to take a chronic state and at least get it down to a low grade toxic state in order to kind of shift things. However, I will tell you the long term damage is if we downregulate from this overload, we now have chronic symptoms, chronic issues. That means over a long period of time. And we're going to have probably a low grade toxic state or higher, depending if there's heavy metals. Supplements inside the clear skin solution, we put on horse blinders and we say, this is how you're eating for this amount of time. This is the lifestyle connectors we want. This is the supplements you're going to take. Here's the other things that you're going to implement. And then we say at the end of that time period, we take them off and this is how we're going to transition into something else. However, when people come in or clients, they may already become supplement sensitive, fearful, almost disillusioned with the process. And then that causes them to halt the process because that fear is massive and that fear goes back to the kidneys. And we all know the gut, liver, brain axis is going to be impaired, making a recovery longer and harder. So again, if we're pushing things and we keep pushing things without that drainage open, that is the struggle bus. Katie, we need to go evaluate our drainage, obviously, because we're on a struggle bus today. But I mean, a long story short is detox without drainage leads to symptoms: nervous, digestion, skin, all of these things. I promise you, you didn't get here. You didn't hang out with us for 3 seasons, episode 37, season 3, without feeling connected to some of the things we're saying, because they start to resonate with you and you're like, oh my gosh. And then what I want you to do is look back and go, I don't want you to look back and go, I did that all wrong. You just say, oh my gosh, now I'm going to learn. That makes sense. Holy Hannah. Okay, this is how I'm going to do it now.
All right. I think we went pretty in depth on detox and drainage. Yep. So just a fun little summary, everybody. Remember, before you go into any type of detoxification, we need to be making sure your drainage pathways are open, your colon especially, your liver pathways, your kidneys, your biles flowing. All of this, our nervous system is calmed down. All of this needs to be in place before we jump into a detoxification, because you're going to make yourself feel like garbage and make things a lot worse. And remember, if you do need help with any of this is what we do every single day in and day out, 24/7 at the Clear Skin Solution Detox Drainage. It is the life cycle here at KSW. So come and hang out with us over in the Clear Skin Solution. Check the show notes, learn how to work with us. We'd love to hang out with you there. We have lots of different options for working with us. And we'll see you next week.